I'm Sujata, a cloud support engineer here at AWS office in Cape Town. Today, I'm going to show you how to create an index pattern in your Amazon OpenSearch service cluster. Let's get started.
Before we begin, make sure that your cluster meets the prerequisites. First, the user must have put and post permissions to create the index pattern. To verify that the user has these permissions, check your access policy. Open the OpenSearch service. Click on domain name. Click on security configuration. Click on edit. Scroll down to access policy. Change the access policy if necessary and save changes if you made any changes. Next, your cluster version must support index patterns. Now, let's create an index pattern. I'll start with creating an index pattern from clusters without fine-grained access control. For OpenSearch service clusters without FGAC, run the following curl command. I am running these commands on an Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud or Amazon EC2 Linux instance. For Elasticsearch clusters without fine-grained access control, you will run a similar command but with a different path. Now, let's create an index pattern for clusters with fine-grained access control enabled. First, run the following command to generate authorization cookies. Then, submit the index pattern creation request. For Elasticsearch clusters with fine-grained access control, replace _dashboards with _plugin/Kibana in the paths. You can also use this Python code snippet to create the index pattern programmatically. Note, you must have these dependencies installed. You must also map the role that you use to run the code snippet to the backend role for fine-grained access control clusters. Now, I will explain how to troubleshoot common issues. For fine-grained access clusters that use SAML or Amazon Cognito, create an internal user to manage the index pattern. Index patterns are created under the global tenant by default. To create an index pattern outside the global tenant, include the security tenant header. Run this. If the .kibana alias doesn't exist, then recreate it. Create the .kibana alias and then point it to the .kibana index. Note, include the authentication, username and password parameter for fine-grained access control clusters. And now you know how to create an index pattern in your Amazon OpenSearch service cluster.
Thanks for watching and happy cloud computing from all of us here at AWS.